Hello everyone, myself Garima. This session is for BSc 4th year and the topic is leadership. Firstly, what is a leader? A leader is a person who leads or commands a group, organization or country. Now, the heart of management is dealing with people in order to achieve the organizational goals. The success of every organization depends upon the leadership qualities of its managers. Good leadership is to win the support of the people. It is to direct and coordinate the personnel in any organizations. Every leader may not be a good manager, but every manager must be a good leader. A leader may not have formal authority, but he normally has some source of power. Definition: leadership is a process of influencing the activities of an individual or a group towards the achievement of a goal in a given situation. The leadership process is a function of the leader, the follower, and the other situational variables. This definition is given by Hershey and Blanchard. Next definition: leadership is a function of knowing yourself, having a vision that is well communicated, building trust among colleagues, and taking effective action to realize your own leadership potential. This definition is given by Warren Bannis. Significance of leadership: the significance of leadership arises from, first one, the openness of the organization as a system, and from the fact that it operates in changing environment, because effective change over requires leadership to build in stabilizing devices of organization for coping with altered requirements. And second is from the nature of human membership in organizational settings. Functions of leadership: in this, first one is determination of goals. In determination of goals, a leader performs the creative function of laying down goals and policies for the followers. He acts as a guide in interpreting the goals and policies. Under successful leadership, every person in the organization feels that his operation, however minor it may be, is vital to the attainment of organizational objectives. It happens when the manager feels the importance of individuals, gives them recognition, and tells them about the importance of activities performed by them. Then, second one is organization of activities. In this, a leader divides organization activities among the employer in a systematic manner. The relationship between them are clearly laid down. Then third one is achieving coordination. In this, a leader integrates the goals of the individuals with the organizational goals and creates a common interest. Then fourth one is representation of workers. In this, a leader is representative of his group. He takes initiative in all workers of interest into the group. Then fifth one is providing guidance. In this, a leader guides the subordinates towards the achievement of organization's objectives. He is available for advice whenever a subordinate faces any problems. Then sixth one is inspiration of employees. In this, a good leader inspires the subordinates for better performance. The leader shapes the thinking and attitudes of the groups. Leaders are considered successful when they are able to subordinate the individual interest of the employers to the general interest of the organization. Then, seventh one is building employees' morale. In this, a good leadership is indispensable to high employee morale. Then, eighth one is facilitating change. In this, a leadership is a mechanism to convince workers about the need for change. Then, ninth one is leadership is related to a situation. In this, when we talk of leadership, it is always related to a particular situation at a given point of time and under a specific set of circumstances. The leadership stages will be different under different circumstances. Last one is employees must be satisfied with the type of leadership provided. In this, only short term productivity of employees can be increased by pressure and punishment. This approach is not in the long term interests of the organization. Force generates counter force, which results in a decreased long term productivity. Long term interest of the organizations are best served which managers all subordinates to influence this behavior, particularly when subordinates are knowledgeable and competent. Next is features of leadership. in this. First is it is a continuous process of influencing behavior, not one shot activity. Second is there is a relationship between leader and his followers which arises from out of their functioning. Third one is leaders try to influence the behavior of individuals or group of individuals to achieve the intended goals. Fourth one is the followers work willingly and enthusiastically to achieve those goals. Then fifth is it provides an experience of help to follower to attain common goals. Leaders gives recognition and importance to individuals. Then sixth is it is exercised in a particular situation at a given point of time and under specific set of circumstances. Thus, there is no style of leadership which can be applied on all the situations. Then last is leadership is a part of management but not the whole of it. Now, difference between in leadership and management. In leadership, leadership is a part of management. In management, management is a wider term. In leadership, the focus is vision and purpose. In management, the managers do things efficiently to get the results. In leadership, leadership creates systems that managers manage and changes them in fundamental ways. In management, management makes systems of people and technology work well day after day, year after year. In leadership, leaders empower followers. In management, the managers control subordinates. In leadership, the leadership is concerned with influencing to contribute towards organizational goals. In management, a manager has to plan, organize, and control the various organizational activities. In leadership, leadership leadership emphasizes on collectivity. In management, management emphasizes on individualism. In leadership, leadership operates in both formal and informal groups in organization. In management, management operates in a formal structure of organization. In leadership, leaders are proactive. In management, managers are reactive as far as futurity is concerned. In leadership, people are led by use of informal power. In management, subordinates are directed by making use of formal authority. In leadership, the transformational approach is used in leadership. In management, the transactional approach is used in management. Next is types of leadership. In this, first is intellectual leader. Intellectual leader is one who possesses rich knowledge and technically competence. All his subordinates listen and follow his advice because of his specialized intellectual authority. For an example, financial advisor, legal advisor, etc. Then second one is a creative leader. Creative leader uses a technique of circular response to encourage ideas to follow from group to him and vice versa. He draws out the best in his followers and controls them with zeal to attain the goals. Then third one is persuasive leader. Persuasive leader gains faith and confidence from his followers. He possesses a magnetic personality which attracts followers, which helps to get work done by them effectively. Then fourth one is a institutional leader. When a person becomes a leader by virtue of his position, he is called an institutional leader. For an example, the principal of a college or a managing director of a company. Then fifth one is a democratic leader. A democratic leader is one who does not led by sorry democratic leader is one who does not lead but is led by his followers. In other words, he follows the opinion of the majority of his followers and delegates most of his power to them. Then last one is a autocratic leader. Autocratic leader one who dominates and drives his group through coercion and command. He institutes a sense of fear among his followers. Such leaders love power and never delegate their authority. Then theories of leadership. In this, first is trait theory, great man theory. This theory suggests that leaders have some inborn traits. They have certain set of characteristics that are crucial for inspiring others towards a common goal. A successful leader is supposed to have the following traits: good personality, tirelessness, capacity to read others' mind, ability to make quick decision, courage, persuasion, intelligence, reliability, and imagination. Then second is style theory. Style theory focuses on what leaders do in relational and contextual terms. The achievement of satisfactory performance measures requires supervisors to pursue effective relationship with other subordinates while comprehending the factors in the work environment that influence outcomes. Then third one is a transactional or a transformational theory. This theory describes the relationship between leaders and followers. In this, new concepts such as empowerment, inspiration, motivation, and social learning are present. This refers to a process whereby the leader attends to the needs and motives of followers so that interaction raises to high levels of motivation and morality. Then, fourth one is a situational theory. This theory believes that leadership effectiveness depends on the relationship among the leaders, tasks at hand, their interpersonal skills, and the favorableness the work situation. This theory considers the challenge of situation and encourages an adaptive leadership style to complement the issue being faced. Then fifth one is a contingency theory. This theory focuses on particular variables related to the environment that might determine which particular style of leadership is best suited for the situation. According to this theory, no leadership style is best in all situations. Success depends upon a number of variables, including the leadership style, qualities of the followers, and aspects of the situation. Then, sixth one is a behavioral theory. Behavioral theory of leadership are based upon the belief that great leaders are made, not born. This theory focuses on the actions of leaders, not on mental qualities or internal states. According to this theory, people can learn to become leaders through teaching and observation. Then, last one is a participative theory. This theory suggests that the ideal leadership style is one that takes the input of others into account. These leaders encourage participation and contributions from group members and help group members feel more relevant and committed to the decision making process. The next is the leadership styles. Leadership style is a way of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. It is one of the most important function of executive to set the direction to meet the basic goals for organization. For organization, the goals may take long period of time to be fulfilled. Leaders are the ones who can measure the progress periodically by its effectiveness in meeting the goals. Next is meaning of leadership style. Leadership style is a manner and approach of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. Definition of leadership style: it can be defined as how a person plays a role. If we go further, how she reacts, how she decides, how she interacts, and how she treats other people. Next, the types of leadership style. In this, first is autocratic leadership style. Autocratic leadership style is also known as directive leadership style. In this type of leadership, the leader considers her in a position of authority and expects her subordinates to follow her. The subordinates made aware of what to do but not why. The leader sets the goals and expects them to accepted along with her methods of achieving them. Then the second one is a democratic leadership style. Democratic leadership style is also known as a creative leadership style. The democratic leaders delegate authority to their subordinates. The leader informs the subordinates about overall purpose and goal of organization and allows them to participate in decision making and solving the problems. The leader values the individual characteristics and abilities of such subordinates. The democratic leader uses personal and positional power to draw out ideas from employees and motivates them to set their own goals, develop their own plans, and control their own practice. Thus, democratic leaders seek advice from their subordinates and try to reach consensus within their teams. Then, third one is a laissez-faire leadership style. In this, the leader gives up all power to the group. The characteristic features of laissez-faire leadership styles are: first one is encourage independent activity by the group member. Second is group members are free to set their own goals, determine their own activities, and allowed to do almost what they desire to do. Third one is a style effective in highly motivating professional growth. Now, the advantages of laissez-faire leadership style. First one is efficient in limited situation. Creativity may be encouraged for specific purposes. Second one is to try new method of action. Now, the disadvantages of laissez-faire leadership style. First one is does may lead to instability, disorganization, inefficiency, no unity of action. And second one is lack of feeling responsible to solve the problem that may arise. The individual will lose interest, initiative, and desire for achievement. Now, the fourth one is a bureaucratic leadership style. In this, in this, the leader function only with rules and regulation. Leader cannot be flexible and does not like to take any risk out of the rules. For an example, defense leader. Fifth one is a transactional leadership style. In transactional leadership style, it is based on reward and punishment. The transactional leaders create a clear structure of what is required from their subordinates and also the reward they get for following orders. When the work is allocated to workers by transactional leaders, they are fully responsible. On success, they get rewards, and on failure, they are punished. They use management by exception principle, which is that if something is operating to defined performance, then it does not need attention. Then next is a transformational leadership style. The transformational leaders put passion and energy into everything and care about employee and encourage them to succeed. It means they get things done by creating enthusiasm and energy among them. These leaders take every opportunity to fulfill, use whatever works to convince others to climb the stair of success. Next is charismatic leadership style. In this style, there is not any form of external power or authority by which the leader gathers the followers, but they are gathered through dint of personality and charm. The charismatic leaders have their action and words to suit the situation. They engender trust through visible self-sacrifice and take personal risks in the name of beliefs. They make use of their body language. According to Conger and Canungo, there are five behavioral attributes of charismatic leaders as given below. First one is a vision and articulation. Second one is a sensitivity to environment. Third one is a sensitivity to member needs. Fourth one is a personal risk taking. Fifth one is a performing unconventional behavior. The charismatic leaders are more concerned with themselves. They can have positive or negative impact. Positive effect will occur when they are well intentioned toward others and will elevate and transfer the entire company. The selfish nature will result negative effect and creation of cults. Sometimes the self belief can also lead them into a psychotic narcissism. Now, last one is a situational leadership style. In this, the decision taken by a leader is not same in every type of situation. That is not adopt a single style in each situation. Their decision differs according to the need of situation. There are a wide range of factors which influence a decision, such as first one is a motivation and capability of followers. Second one is a relationship between followers and leader. Third one is a leader's perception of himself, and fourth one is a stress and mood of leader and employee. Now, the leadership skills. In this, first is a skills of personal behavior. Skills of personal behavior include first one is a sensitive to the feeling of the group. Second is identifies self with needs of the group. Third one is does not ridicule or criticize others' suggestion. Fourth one is does not argue. Second one is a skill of communication. Skills of communication includes listen attentively, make sure everyone understands, establish positive communication with the group. Fourth one is a recognizes that everyone's contribution are important. Next one is the skills of organization. Skills of organization include first one is develop short and long term objectives. Second one is break big problem into small ones. Third one is share responsibilities and opportunities. Fourth one is a plan, act, follow up and evaluate. Then fourth one is the skills of self examination. Skills of self examination includes first one is aware of personal motivation, second one is aware of group members, third one is helps group to aware of their attitudes and values. Last is application of leadership in nursing. In this, first one is patient care coordination. In patient care coordination, new graduate nurses have leadership responsibilities when they begin in nursing. Nursing leadership begins with nursing care of the individual patient. The students are guided to organize nursing care, establish good and priorities for each day, establish time, establish success and failure. Second one is employee responsibilities. In this, nurses have specific tasks or duties to perform. These tasks are determined by the plan and objective of the healthcare agency. It is important to read job description carefully and to continue to evaluate how institutional factors influences own practice of nursing. Factors that compromise quality care should be noted and addressed in construction with experienced nurses. Third one is guidelines for delegating nursing care. In this, new graduate nurses use leadership techniques when they direct the work of non professional staff and volunteers and consider delegating tasks to non professional staff. Fourth one is mentorship. Mentorship is a relationship in which an experienced individual advise and assist a less experienced individual. This is an effective way of easing a new nurse into leadership responsibilities. Fifth one is a preceptorship. In preceptorship, the preceptor is selected to introduce an employee to new responsibilities through teaching and guidance. The relationship is limited by the new employee's needs. Last one is a continuing education. In this, leadership, managerial, and administrative skills are needed. Thank you.